to start off with Courtney.
Okay. Hey everyone. I work for Newcastle Partners. We're a sort of small to mid-sized ground-up industrial developer, and we specialize in the Inland Empire. So my day-to-day, because I'm on a small team, I'm not very siloed. I do a little bit of everything. And I'm happy to talk to you guys about kind of the pros and cons of working at a small company versus a large company later if you'd like. But I focus pretty heavily on entitlements and construction day to day. I would say that's what takes up the bulk of the process in development, so that's kind of naturally where I spend most of my time, which it's a lot of coordinating with architects and engineers and the cities to get permits and plans approved, and start to finish a development for industrial is about 3 years. Best case scenario in a lot of projects in the Inland Empire, but about 2 years of that is just trying to get the plans approved with the city. So that's where a lot of my time is spent. And then about 9 months with construction, managing the construction.
Sounds fun. Angela Gomez-Jones, a lot of friends and colleagues call me AGJ. I went into recruiting and consulting earlier this year after about 22 years in property management. My most recent gig was with Link Logistics, where I oversaw the Southwest operations for about 65 million square feet, about 2,000 tenants, about 600 buildings. And was bored, so I thought, why not live on commission? That sounds like fun. So here I am. I do recruiting, so owner-operator type shops, companies like the Irvine Company hire Endeavor to find them asset managers, analysts, associates, property managers, admins, stuff like that. And on the side, because of my background in property management, I also do consulting. So if firms need to audit CAM, which is common area maintenance, or tenants estimates, lease administration, stuff like that, I do that as well.
I'm Alex Hayden at CBRE, which is the largest real estate company in the world, quite frankly. And all that means is they have very diversified. They have property management, they have appraisal, they have brokerage, they have facilities management, they've got lease administration, they have supply chain consulting, they've got, I could go on and on and on. They are the largest, most diversified company in the world. I am like a little company within a company. I have about 50 people on my team. And we just run a practice within that, and it's a tenant representation practice. So all we do is represent companies. So as you were on the property management side
for 10 years.
And the portfolio management side, we would work together because I would be representing the tenant, she would be representing the landlord. I don't represent any landlord, so we would be close friends, but she would probably want to be a closer friend of mine because I didn't want to have her business, she would want to have my business. This happens a lot there are some people who do what I do in brokerage, and I get to be super nice to her because I want her business, and she's also kind of wanting mine, and it goes both ways.
Super nice.
I know, huh? The good ones. Yeah. So I just represent the users, so I won't have my name in front of a building on a sign or anything like that. Our group is fairly large and a little uncommon in the business. It grew over time. I used to be a lone soldier, and then I partnered with somebody else, and then we brought on other people, and it was just a result of who we were going after. One of the things, if we're going to leave everybody with a few thoughts, I'm all about education. I chair the board of the business school at Chapman. I went to school there, and so that's been a big passion. We started a master's of real estate program there. Happy to share with people about that in the future. But I'm a big learner. Like I got my job in what I'm doing now from on-campus interviews. So I commend you all for being here, making a commitment to your own future. But my only recommendation is get something out of it. And so if you're going to get something out of it, I'm going to give you something, and then you can decide if you want to get it or not. Everybody is up here, they're going to resonate with you a little bit differently, and some messages will be stronger or less strong, and that's okay. That's why we're all here, and we're different, and we're sharing. But one of the messages I want to give to you is, and you want to write this down, is you get what you go after. People don't realize that, and it's really simple. You get what you go after. And you're all here, so you're going after something right now. You just need to be aware of it. You get what you go after. What I started to go after is larger corporate business. I don't represent the companies. That's 2600 Nutwood. I used to represent people that were in that building before the university bought it back in the day. And I wouldn't even call them anymore because I'm wanting to go after larger corporate companies. So we do all the work globally for General Electric. We do all the work globally for Ernst & Young. We do all the work for ADP, payroll company, if you've heard of them. Coca-Cola, we do all their work globally. And so I'm going after larger companies. And so my team's really big because we have people who work on salary that sit in Coca-Cola's office and help do all the transactions. It's a conscious effort. I'm going after that larger business, and as a result, that's ultimately what you're going to get.
All right, thank you very much. And for our first question, I think we're going to start off with Angela Gomez-Jones for this one. So what skills and training have you found vital to your job, and how would students acquire those?
That's a good question. I think the skills change with what level you're at, right? If you start as an administrator in an office, you'll start as an administrator on Alex's team, you start at Newcastle, it has to be a lot of organization and a lot of multitasking. One minute you could be on the phone with a vendor, the next minute you're drafting something for your boss, the next second you're answering phones, so you have to be able to multitask. And then as you grow, you'll find that if you were to become a property manager or an asset manager, probably more about financial acumen. You need to be able to read profit and loss statements. You need to be able to tell your owner or client why their building's not performing, why, et cetera, et cetera. And then you grow some more, and now you might have those admins and associates and analysts under you. And now it's leadership skills, which means knowing, actually just did a LinkedIn audio today about leadership. As a leader, you have to know what you don't know. You either have to turn to somebody else for the help, or you need to be able to say, you know, I don't know the answer, let's figure it out together. But the leadership skills, right, really important. Then you get to someone at Alex's level, and it becomes more about tact and negotiation and relationship building. So it really kind of depends. But initially, if you can get any kind of learning or education around financials, and I don't mean economics and formal finance, I mean being able to read a P&L statement. Like, why is this building not performing? You know, we paid more bills than we collected, that kind of thing. And if you can multitask and remain organized to show that your higher ups that you can do this task, you'll get more. Here's the thing about real estate and all that. If you're good at your job, you just get more work. That's how it goes. So you get good, they give you more work, your skill set grows, you get a promotion, you get more work, skill set grows, hopefully, on and on and on. IRM and BOMA are great for property management. CCIM, Argus are great for probably the asset management level, but like I think it was Mark Twain said, don't let school be the start and stop of your education. You should really never be learning. I guarantee people at Alex's level, Courtney's level, and beyond are learning. They're reading LinkedIn, they're reading articles, Harvard Business Review, they're reading leadership books. They're doing something to grow themselves. So you can't let school be the start and stop of your education. You have to take responsibility for your own development and figure it out what you're going to need for that next step, that next level, or that next job change.
All right, Courtney, Alex, anything to add?
Go ahead.
Okay. I think it does depend what role you're going after. Like if you want to be a biologist, which actually does have a lot to do with real estate and development, there's a lot of technical fields that you can go in that are related to development or real estate in general. So I think you need to know the technical aspects of your job, but I think what wasn't spoken enough during my formal education process was the soft skills. And I think the soft skills are what are going to put you over the top and really, I think more people become successful because of their soft skills rather than their technical knowledge. And that's a really hard thing to learn. It's kind of intangible in terms of the soft skills, but you network as much as you can. I think when I was in college, I thought networking seemed very contrived, but in my experience in the last 7 years or so of my career, it's I've noticed that it isn't as contrived as I thought it was. I thought you were kind of just, trying to meet people and hand out business cards, but you're going to get more from the people you naturally connect with, and the relationships that are strong because you connect with people in a certain way. So I would say network, join the industry groups. I've met a lot of people from the REA at CRE and NAMP events, and I'm in the middle of my career, the beginning of my career even, and I've had so much that I've learned from, and so many people I've connected with from being in those groups. So network, I think, again, soft skills in terms of you're going to come across a lot of challenges and learning how to navigate those conversations with people that you're working with, whether it's internally or externally. But again, I think it's a hard thing to learn, but if you can just try to be open to the soft skills side and put some thought into that, then I think it's going to bring you a lot in your career throughout the future.
Okay. Alex, anything to add, or?
I would just piggyback on what you said there is, I agree, but I think the one thing that you have to realize, everybody here has to realize, is no matter what, regardless if you're trying or not, you've created a brand for yourself. And you just need to know that you show up, every time you show up, you have a brand, period, whether you like it or not. And so an example is that, thank you for your follow-up.
Of course.
So he sent me a follow-up email, didn't respond to it. I committed to him. And so my brand is that my word's my bond. So I said I was going to be here, and I was probably going to make him nervous the whole time and never talk to him again, but I was going to be here. And he didn't like that. So he sent me an email, and I didn't respond. And then he sent me a text, and he said, "Did you get my email?" And I didn't really even respond to that. I just gave him a thumbs up. And it was because, I was busy, and I told him I'd be here, and so I figured I'm going to be here. And his email was very thorough. So his brand to me is he's thorough. He follows up. He didn't need to follow up. He could have just done what it is. And now you got me going two different ways because you were 15 minutes late to getting here. So now your brand for me is like, well, I don't know, maybe it's not a pattern, maybe it's not. So you get to continue to follow up with me and show up as the first person that I interacted with. But the point I'm trying to make is it's a brand. You're defining yourself just by very minimal interactions with people. And so you just need to know that. I'm not here to judge it. I'm just here to make you aware of it. And so you just get to decide how do you want to show up? Who do you want to be? Because sometimes you only have very small interactions with people, and it's about who you are and how you show up, and are you intentional about it? I was intentional about being here early because that's my brand. I'm going to make sure that you guys saw me. I was professional. I'm helpful. I'm committed, and I was in, I was out, and it happened. But I'm aware of it. I just think what happens as students that you're not taught is that you just need to be very aware. People aren't aware. They just operate through life, and they're just not aware. So you actually brought up the greatest point that you interact with people and soft skills. I already know what each person up here, we just met, I know what their personality types are in the quadrant of different personalities. I already know what it is, so I know how I'm going to interact with them again. She's a driver, and she has a little bit of analytical, and she's supporting style, with also tainted towards analytical. So they both like facts, data. She likes clarity, and she likes it to be, caring or what have you. Would you say it's that
My
great?
influencer is also really high.
Yeah.
I love those things. I love all of the personality tests, all the leadership style stuff.
But the point is I'm aware. And what you guys need to be aware of that other people are aware. I think that's one of the things about maturing in business, maturing in life and everything like that is you just become more aware.
Right. Thank you. And I apologize for arriving late again.
Don't need to.
All right.
Like I said, no judgment.
So next question. I feel this one's it's a little more tailor-made for Mr. Alex Hayden here, but would you recommend getting a master's degree, and how would it help students kind of succeed in the world of commercial real estate?
Yeah, so about, well, not about, 4 years ago, we started a Master's of Science in Real Estate at Chapman. And the big push on that program was just that if you wanted to get a master's, you had to go to SC or you go to San Diego. And if you lived around here and you wanted to go to school around here. And there are so many major businesses that are located here that are hiring people that have master's degrees in real estate. And they're right here in Orange County. So I was just committed to figuring out how we could create that there. And so we did successfully, and you know, employment out of it is 99%. So 99% of people who don't have a job, who have gone through, we just had one person who didn't get a job within the first 6 months is the actual clarification. They got one now, but that's the official classification. So all those are great, fun stats, all this kind of stuff. I will tell you that the most impactful time to do it is probably after you've been a few years in the business. That would be the most impactful time to do it. It's set up to be a 4+1 program where people can come right out of university, right out of undergraduate and go into it. And it's about 50-50. There's 20 students in the class, and the next year we'll probably have 25, and 40% of it is part-time, so it's a 2-year program because you're taking half the classes 1 year and half the classes the other, and then 60% of it is a 1-year full-time program. All of the courses are at night and what have you, but yes, it's super valuable, and you could get a taste of it if you follow NAIOP, which is an industry organization that you guys should all know about. And it stands for National Industrial and Office
Professionals. North.
Is it
National
National?
Association of Industrial Officers.
Thank you. Yes,
That's it.
thank you.
NAIOP. But it's an industry organization. There's a number of them that you can be affiliated. That's one of the obvious more popular. It's probably more popular because it's more general. Like BOMA's very specific, and
Yeah, IROM is mostly property managers and the
it's
service
just very
partners.
specific.
Yeah.
And you'll get a lot of property managers, stuff like that in NIOP too, because it's more general, but you won't cross over as much. So anyway, if you go to the NIOP, we recreated 2 years ago, so it's happened 2 times. We're going to have a 3rd time this year. They used to just have the USC versus UCLA Real Estate Challenge amongst the students. And what they do is they give like a development opportunity, and they give it to the students. And usually it's a real-time opportunity. And we recreated that here between UCI and Chapman. And we've done it 2 years in a row. And last year, the development was right down here on Imperial. And it was a medical office campus that was to be converted into its highest and best use. And so students get together, and they actually presented to the owner of the site of how they would convert it into the highest and best use. And then they have industry judges are there, and they convert it. So the reason I bring all that up is that it would be your kind of your peers, your students that are presenting this, and they're presenting it right in front to the real estate industry. Owners of the properties, all of the people use it as a networking event, they come. And you can see the caliber of learning that you will get, because all of those students who went into that program didn't know anything about how to present that and how to go through all those pro formas and how to do all that stuff, and you'll listen to it present, and I think you'll get a really strong flavor. So it will definitely enhance your skill set. The only disclaimer I give you is you just need to determine whether you really want to do it immediately or if you want to work a few years and then do it.
And then to add to that, because I see so many resumes, obviously, and work with so many different firms, if your goal is to work with some of the larger institutional firms and your goal is asset management, not so much property management, but asset management, a lot of firms don't even look at resumes without a master's degree, and your major could also play a part in that as well. Like I had a resume turned down because the person's major was cinema history. And I thought, well, fine, they just learned real estate after that. And they said, no, like your major can really count here as well. But if you're looking at property management, accounting even, I would say that the hiring shops aren't as they don't put as much weight on a master's degree as you'd think, but investment firms, multifamily firms, the large investment folks, minimum is a master's degree.
Huge that you're hearing that from her too, because that's her whole business,
It's all
is
business.
placing people.
Yeah.
So you're hearing it from the expert.
And even an administrator to get started at any of these shops, mostly a bachelor's is the bare minimum, just because mostly there's so many candidates. And if you've got two seemingly equal candidates and one has a bachelor's and one doesn't,
Why take the risk?
why take the risk and why take someone that didn't sit through 4 years of this, right? So, what it's worth.
Courtney, anything to add, or?
I just think I'll echo some of what they said. I think it would be beneficial to get a little bit of experience in the real estate industry before getting a master's, because then you're gonna know how to apply these things a bit better, I would assume, than if you go straight into a master's without experience. And then I think AGJ said a lot of the institutional firms are gonna want the master's, but there is also plenty of opportunity if you don't have the resources to get a master's. You can definitely find a job without one, so I don't think it's the end all be all for you if you can't, if you can't pursue it right now. Maybe you can pursue it at some time later if you need to, but I just kind of wanted to emphasize too that you can definitely find plenty of opportunity without a master's as well.
Well, think about waiting too and getting some experiences. Some companies reimburse you for part of it,
I was gonna
whether
say,
it's
we have
$1,000 this
scholarships.
or scholarships. I know Irvine Company, I think, has a fairly generous master's program if you're there, as do other firms. So there's an opportunity to get some of it paid for, and you already have the job, and there's probably some even more transparent, what's the word? Promotional opportunity. If you're with the firm already and you're there and you get your master's degree and they paid for some of it, well, they're going to invest in you even more, promote you, do whatever that is too. So
Yeah, there's financial aid, and then we had a lady that worked for Nuveen,
oh yeah,
and like Nuveen said they pay half, and
yeah,
you know.
that's pretty
yeah,
impressive.
they-
I mean,
Yeah, and then there was, Chapman has a scholarship that if a corporation paid half, that they would match. If this, or actually like a 40-40-20 deal, or something, they want the student to put in some of the money. Yeah, people, if you don't invest something in yourself, you're not gonna, maybe care as much, so they want some of it. But I guess my other thought process, and another thing to take home, when I say you get what you go after, to remember that, and another one I would say is, you don't need money. Money will come. You find a good deal, you find you're the right candidate. If the situation is right, don't let yourself believe that money is money will, you'll find the money. People will figure, it will surround you, it'll come to you. Don't believe that. Find the deal. Find the right situation, and it'll work out.
All right, for this next question, we're going to start off with Courtney. So real estate can be an extremely challenging and mentally taxing occupation. What are some things you do to kind of stay motivated and kind of stay persistent, like day to day?
It's a very real question for me, because I feel like over the last, again, 7 years that I've been in real estate, I have struggled with this a little bit. Sometimes I think part of it is not getting too emotional about your work. And for me, that was a learning process in terms of development can be every day. There's almost a challenge that's threatening your entire development. And so it's just constantly coming after you, but you can't take it home with you really, and you can't let it spike your emotions, which for me was what I had to learn. So I think with experience, you'll learn, you'll hear the term every once in a while, like, real estate's not rocket science or brain science. Like, what we're doing matters, but at the end of the day, it's not life threatening to anyone. You don't need to be overly emotional about it. And so I think for me, part of what helps me is I love traveling internationally, and so I'm always planning a trip. And for me, working, I kind of have that goal of like, I'm working and I'm able to see the benefits by doing what I love and enjoying traveling, which I can afford because I have a good job in real estate and I work hard. Does that answer the question?
Yes, that was very good.
As I used to tell my property management team, we are not curing cancer. Okay, I know the tenant thinks it's an emergency. It most typically is not any sort. It might be urgent and it might be important, but it's not an emergency. And we've had emergencies at buildings, but in the grand scheme of things, we're not curing cancer. It's not rocket science. The building's mostly standing. It's going to be okay, for sure.
It becomes a lifestyle, though, so it does get to it.
Just for traveling.
Yeah, all of it. So I definitely agree with that. I always tell people I'm a firefighter. People say, what do you do? I say I'm a firefighter. And that's all we do is put out problems. Putting out fires all day long. That's all I'm doing. Like, I am super drawn to my phone right now because I know there's a couple fires on there that I need to put out. But it's the same concept. I mean, it's not, you just have to manage it. Don't let the highs get too high, the lows get too low. Just know you're doing the right thing and it works out over time.
Right. For this next question, anyone can take this one, but what advice do you have for someone dealing with imposter syndrome early in their career? I know like this is something a lot of students here have dealt with, something I've dealt with early in my career. Kind of what's your advice for dealing with that?
What's your definition of imposter?
I guess feeling like what I'm doing right now is like I'm put in a role and I feel like maybe I don't belong here, like maybe I'm not educated enough, or maybe I'm not good enough, I'm not knowledgeable enough in the career I'm in.
I would tell you to fake it till you make it. Because I will tell you, everybody's an imposter. I mean, we're just doing what we can do. I only know you as the moderator of this event, kind of the leader within this group. Maybe you're not a leader in this group, but you might as well keep faking it. Because you give me a call and I'm going to introduce you as the leader of this group, and you're going to get the next interview. I mean, my point is just keep showing up with integrity. Just keep showing up with drive. Don't worry about what that is. I mean, you're going to find your natural boundaries. You can say, fake it till you make it, and you start walking, and all of a sudden you start walking on some water and you fall in. Well, okay, you didn't make it. But keep going until you can. I mean, you're going to find your natural boundaries, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I would tell you the next fake it is be smart enough to bring in a resource that does work. Like if you're trying to get into your house and the door's locked, you might try a couple of this, you might try a credit card, you might try all this kind of stuff. It's called faking it till you make it. And you either made it in your house or you didn't. And guess what? If you're smart enough to call the locksmith and they let you in, they're going to come and they say, do you own this house? You're going to fake it. You're going to say, yep. And then they're going to say, show me paperwork that shows you own this house. You're going to figure something out. My point is you're going to keep finding these natural boundaries, but you just got to keep focused on what your goal is. The goal is to get into that house, and we do it with integrity, do it the right way. But yeah, it's not, I don't think you're an imposter. You're only an imposter in your own mind. You just got to keep going and again, do it with integrity and bring in resources to support you at the end of the day. I don't do anything anymore. Like you want to know what my imposter syndrome is? I don't do anything. I literally make friends. That's all I do now. And I get on phone calls and I say, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And the reality is, I just call all the people that can do it. This is my new lease auditor. I call people and I say, I can do lease audits. They really? What do you think about this? I need to know about 5 or 6 buzzwords about camera. I don't do anything. But my point is, I found that natural boundary. I mean, wouldn't you say that's very true?
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
everything we do? If you come into some major lease negotiations, you're going to tell everybody you can do it, and you just have to call, and I'll be on the call.
Exactly. And I need some entitlements and development stuff, and I'm going to call Courtney.
There you go. But we all say we do it because we know where the resources are in order to deliver on what we're saying.
And that goes back to the networking that Courtney mentioned. Courtney and I already knew each other from CRE. In fact, although I don't even do any business development on my own, I have friends in the industry that we've known each other now for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Just be like, if anyone called me, I'm going to send them to Alex and vice versa. So the networking we're doing now, the NAOPS, the BIRM, the BOMA, the CRE, all of that is setting the foundation for not only hopefully real friendships, which I have many now, thank goodness, but
I don't do anything. But my point is, I found that natural boundary. I mean, wouldn't you say that's very true?
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
like, everything we do? If you come into some major lease negotiations, you're gonna tell everybody you can do it, and then you set up the call, and I'll be on the call.
exactly. I need some entitlements and development stuff, and I'm going to call Courtney.
There you go. But we all say we do it, because we know where the resources are in order to deliver on what we're saying.
And that goes back to the networking that Courtney mentioned. Courtney and I already knew each other from CRE. In fact, although I don't even do any business development on my own, I have friends in the industry that we've known each other now for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Just be like, if anyone called me, I'm going to send them to Alex and vice versa. So the networking we're doing now, the NAOPS, the BIRM, the BOMA, the CRE, all of that is setting the foundation for not only hopefully real friendships, which I have many now, thank goodness, but very high-powered women. We want to hear about women in the workplace. This would have been the 70s, so a little bit different time where women weren't typically thought of as in the C-suite. To make a long story longer, what they really found out was the common theme among imposter syndrome was the person feeling the imposter syndrome, what they feel is no matter how much they do, it's not good enough, and that they're going to be found out at any moment. And even very capable executives feel this way. So there's a lot of talk around it, and it really boils down to, you know, celebrating small victories for yourself, not aiming for perfection. The person who spends 3 hours trying to get one thing right does not do it as well, does not learn, and will not do it as well as the person who tries as many times as they can to get it right. So don't focus on perfection. There is no perfection, there's only the art of perfecting. That's it, there's no perfection here. And having a few friends that you can turn to, like, hey, I muffed this presentation today, or I'm having a really hard time with this client, and just having, you know, I call it like a cabal. Maybe for you when you're younger, it's a mentor. As you get older, I've found that mine's more of a cabal now. And I've got vice presidents of Irvine Company, executive vice president at Greenlaw. That's my cabal, and those are the ladies that we've gone through the last 10 years together when we were all property managers, and here we are still together today, and everyone feels it, you know. Karen Flanagan, executive vice president at Greenlaw, probably feels it.
So do you know that guy Amos Vocero?
Yeah, I know Amos.
Okay, so Amos.
We were together at CB. See, it's a small world.
Okay, so Amos and I sat through real estate license class
Oh,
together,
really?
and we took our California real estate license together.
How long ago was that?
Yeah, like in, I want to say like 96.
That sounds about right.
But my point is that, like, she knows Amos.
Yeah.
And I don't even really deal with Amos that much anymore, but if I ever do, like, I can call, like we've seen each other. It's kind of like, I mean, when you get into real estate and you all kind of, if you all pick commercial, or you all pick residential, or whatever you end up picking, it's you're back in grade school, and you watch your friends grow up, and you're like, oh my God, that guy's like a star soccer player. I knew he was going to be a good soccer player. Oh my gosh, that guy's so good at football or whatever. You just kind of see him. And so Amos is a real successful property management guy, and he was going through that when I said it. He said, I'm going to get my license